We're live on 3FM 92.7, also on TV3 Ghana on Facebook and on DSTV channel 279. We're all across the world on 3news.com. We're on the Voice of London radio in the heart of the City of London, and Voice of London television as well, and on a number of radio stations across the country, on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale, and a number of the radio stations across the country. And we're also live on 3 News on YouTube. And this is Key Point, as always, probably brought to you by Bank of Africa. Activate your dormant account with Bank of Africa. Enjoy our refreshed products and services, including our enhanced SME support facility, US dollar debit card, and also the US dollar credit card, and more. You may also update your account at any Bank of Africa branch with your Ghana card. Kindly reach our call center on 0302 429 333, 0302 429 333, or 0302 249 690, 0302 249 690, or chat with Fafa on www.boaghana.com for support or inquiries. Bank of Africa, as strong as a group, as close as a partner, and they are a partner for the Key Point. Our partner as well is GASEM, the nation builder, giving us strong support as well on the Key Point. This week, we saw some disturbing videos on social media involving a Ghanaian national who was being harassed essentially by a group of individuals who say they are locals or some sort of a vigilante group going around to attack foreign nationals who they say don't have any rights to be in their country. The videos you are seeing there, viewer discretion advised. Some of it quite disturbing. You see them beating this, and this gentleman, we understand this particular gentleman in this video is a Ghanaian. Let's take a listen to the encounter between them.
All over the world, refusing to speak. We are fixing this continent. This thing of you guys moving from one country to the other, it's no longer working. We don't want this as African people anymore. We are tired of seeing African migrants moving all over the world, refusing to fix your own countries. Now we're making it very clear to you guys, Utitina, we don't want you here. We want you to fix your countries. Now you came here with a traveling document. You came with a passport. You know that you are a visitor, but now you decided to come and integrate in our communities. You know very well that what you have done is wrong.
How many children do you have here?
We can come to Ghana and do what you're doing.
Passport.
Now you are carrying a bucket. It's 11 a.m. You are supposed to be fighting the government of Ghana there to ensure that they are getting things right.
No, there's no fight in Ghana. You must fight once a day.
Where's your papers?
Well, so that concerning and in fact quite heartbreaking experience that this young man had. We understand the earlier update and we got from the Foreign Affairs Minister Samuel OKUDZETO ABLAKWA is that the gentleman in question is okay, he's safe. We will find out what's happened to him now. And the lady you saw leading this group of vigilantes, that is Jacinta Zuma, that's her name. Yesterday, when we advertised that the Foreign Affairs Minister was going to join us, some persons close to her, were able to get through to us. In fact, we got an email. So we spoke to her. She's been explaining why they did what they did. So I'll play that interview as we go on Key Point. So stay with us, right? Joining me in the studio is the Minister in charge of Foreign Affairs, Samuel OKUDZETO ABLAKWA. He's the Minister and then also Member of Parliament for North Tongue, the people of the North Tongue constituency. Samuel OKUDZETO ABLAKWA, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, good morning, Alfred. Good to see you.
It's good to see you too. It's been long.
A very long time. And always delighted to be back.
Doing the Lord's work, as you say.
For God and country.
How has it been over the period, at least from around the same time last year till now, serving in this particular capacity?
Well, first of all, let me extend very warm regards to the distinguished viewers of TV3 and to express how elated I am to have the opportunity to engage with Ghanaians this morning. It's been over a year of active service for God and country. We have been led so far by President John Dramani Mahama, who has tremendous goodwill, love, passion for service to Ghana. And his inspiration is infectious. So he guides all of us, he leads us, and you cannot help but really tap into that vision, that energy, that drive, that dynamism, and that clear love for the people that President Mahama leads. And I must say that the team that President Mahama put together, largely a young, dynamic team, we all have love for country. We are all driven. We want results. It's not about talk. It's not about optics. It's not about just going through the motions, but it is about delivery. It is about leaving a lasting legacy, making an impact, and making sure that wherever you are, you leave the place much, much better than you met it. And at the Foreign Ministry, I'm really humbled by what the good Lord has enabled us to achieve. We have done so many good things. We've made history in several regards, and all of us collectively, the Ghanaian people, staff, my colleagues at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, we all have to be proud of what we have achieved. I know we'll be discussing the landmark.
Yes, in fact, that's actually going to be a
UN resolution on the transatlantic enslavement. It is absolutely essential that we do not, for a second, even contemplate downplaying what that means to all people of African descent, for the entire, African race. And so we all have to be proud of what we have achieved. If you look at passport administration, we got to the ministry, there were 7 regions without passport application centers. You have to travel to Accra if you are in OT, if you are in the Upper East region, if you are in Western North, Bono, and other regions. We have now established passport application centers in all the 16 regions of Ghana, but most importantly, we have transitioned to chip embedded. We have introduced courier services. We've made the system more efficient. We've cleared the backlog of about 40,000 passports we met, and we don't have any backlog now. The system is very efficient, and the testimony is there for everybody to see. Many Ghanaians are impressed with the high level of professionalism, the efficiency. I mean, no longer do you need a middleman, a goro boy, and do you have to pay exorbitant rates. And for the first time in our country's history, we've introduced a one-day passport delivery service.
So what?
For emergency. So if you need a passport in a day, you will get your passport in a day, the same day, no matter which part of Ghana you are. So really remarkable accomplishments. You look at what we have achieved with visa waivers. In fact, when we advertised your coming, a number of people sent messages about the visa waivers. What informs? So Kwame Ampofo says, what informs the decision to waive visas to countries, and how many countries have retained that same gesture? Just quickly. And very good question from Kwame, and I was just about to talk about visa waivers. So the rationale for vigorously pursuing visa waivers is to ensure that we are able as a ministry and as a government to enhance the value of the Ghanaian passport. Our passport must have real value, where if you are a holder of a Ghanaian passport, your respect in the Committee of Nations must be upheld, must be high. If you have a Ghanaian passport, you should not struggle to obtain visas or to travel freely to any part of the world. And that is the motivation. And if you look at what we have achieved so far, it's quite remarkable. We have now been able to add about 23 countries to the list of visa waiver countries that Ghanaian passport holders can go to. So overall, we now have 50 countries that Ghanaians can travel to without requiring visas. Now, it is important to also emphasize that in negotiating these agreements, we ensure that they are reciprocal agreements. We pursue reciprocity to the fullest. So it's not the case that it is lopsided or that we are being shortchanged. So to satisfy Kwame's inquiry, we make sure that this is reciprocal. So if, for example, the 3 countries that Cabinet approved only this week, Zambia, the Maldives, Antigua and Barbuda, these 3 countries, you notice from the agreement, which will soon go to Parliament for ratification under Article 75 of the Constitution, all the 3 categories of passports, ordinary passports, service passports, and official and diplomatic passports, are all covered. And it is the same for these countries, citizens in these countries. So Zambians, citizens of the Maldives, of Antigua and Barbuda can also, holders of all those passports, can also visit our country visa-free. So what this is doing is that it is really enhancing our status in the Committee of Nations. It's adding a lot of value to our passports. And that's why our passports have become very, very, well sought after. And we've had to improve security. We've had to invest a lot in new technology, AI, and all of that to really protect the sanctity of our passports. Because you cannot also qualify for this visa waiver agreement if other sovereign countries realize that security is not impressive, that other nationals can easily, impersonate and acquire these passports. Because, when we talk about passports, it's about a security document. It's about making sure that the right people, enter your country. It has far-reaching national security implications. And so we are always working to enhance the security surrounding the processes of acquiring Ghanaian passports. And so it's been a lot of hard work. And I must say that the hard work is paying off. The results are clear. And within all our multilateral organizations, Ghana is celebrated. We are mentioned with a lot of esteem and pride. Remember that our President John Dramani Mahama, ECOWAS has passed a unanimous resolution. It was first the Council of Foreign Ministers all signing to a resolution that when it gets to West Africa's turn to chair the African Union, Ghana should go on a post. When I made the proposal, colleague foreign minister said, why not? We'll support you. And then heads of state of ECOWAS endorsed it. And so the authority of heads of state have all now signed. And President Mahama can be described as the AU chair in waiting.
He's the AU chair, yes, the African Union chairman in waiting.
He will take over in February 2027 next year. He's now the first vice chair. So you can see that even amongst President Mahama's peers, that respect. And don't forget that the last time Ghana chaired the African Union was about 20 years ago, President J. Kufuor, and this will be the only second time in our history since the OAU was formed in 1963 that you're going to have a Ghanaian president lead it. So these are really exciting times for Ghana. And we all have to be proud about what we are achieving, how we are setting ourselves. And I must say that what gladdens my heart the most is how now the foreign ministry is going all out to defend Ghanaians, to protect the right, the dignity of Ghanaians anywhere they are. We have sent a very clear message to the international community that Ghanaians are untouchable, that Ghanaians' rights must be respected, and that the Foreign Ministry of Ghana, the Mahama administration, will not look the other way, will not be silent when Ghanaians are being abused, when Ghanaian rights are being violated, when Ghanaians are being harassed. And that is why I've traveled as far as Ukraine, for example, to negotiate the release of 2 prisoners of war being held by the Ukrainian authorities. These are young Ghanaians who were lured to fight on the front lines in Russia. I've gone as far as Latvia, you know, to demand justice for the young Nana J, the student who was killed in very, very, horrendous circumstances. And we will continue. I mean, you remember what happened when Ghanaians were being maltreated in Israel. You know, they are granted visas, they arrive, and they are just deported, treated, you know, shabbishly, and in a very dehumanizing manner. We said we would not take it. So consistently, we are demonstrating that we will not compromise when it comes to protecting the rights of Ghanaians, ensuring that their dignity, their humanity is preserved. And that is what the Foreign Ministry exists to do. Every Ghanaian everywhere must have that confidence that when I am in harm's way, when I am in trouble, I will not be left alone. That my foreign ministry, my government will stand up for me, will fight for me, will protect my interests, and will seek to preserve my rights. And that is a very, very clear message we are sending. That is a mandate we hold so dear, you know, with very profound respect. And we are going to continue to ensure that Ghanaians everywhere are treated with the respect they deserve, just as we treat and we are famed, as you know, in Ghana for being hospitable, for being warm, and for treating foreigners, our guests who are here, with respect. We expect the same. We expect reciprocity.
When they country, and that leads me directly to what's happening in South Africa, and because you talk about Ghanaians being untouchable, that's a message you have sent, but then again they must be identified in the country that they are Ghanaians to be given the kind of protection that you're talking about.
Absolutely.
And then also they must be living in those countries legally.
Absolutely.
Right? And so that's why I want us to separate the issues. But clearly with the video that has gone viral and what we just played, you hear this lady questioning the Ghanaian. By the way, how is he doing? You got in touch with him?
I can confirm to you that I am in constant touch with the Ghanaian. His name is Emmanuel Asamoah. I've spoken to him directly. And
the man in the video?
Yes, and I have good news to share with the good people of Ghana. The government of Ghana has decided that we will relocate him. We
relocate this
Emmanuel Asamoah, yes,
the gentleman in the viral video.
At full cost. We will take care of his relocation and resettlement out of South Africa. I will not at this point disclose where we will be relocating him to, but because of how viral the video is, this gentleman, and the fact that his identity has been exposed and he's been the subject of a lot of trolling and consistent, you know, threats, we have taken the decision to relocate him and to have him reintegrated at another place. He's agreed. He's willing to cooperate with us, and we are going to do that.
I see.
But we continue to extend consular assistance to him. He's doing very well. He was really traumatized, as you can expect. I mean, these are vigilantes with no legal mandate, just you know, pouncing on innocent immigrants and pursuing them in such really offensive manner, very dehumanizing manner. And let me state for the record that we have checked, and indeed it's been confirmed by South African authorities, that Mr. Emmanuel Asamoah is not an illegal.
So they're asking for documentation,
which he has
in that video,
yes,
for him to produce documents and so on. So that was another issue that came up, that if he was living there illegally, then the steps must be taken to regularize that situation. You are saying that you've checked, and this gentleman has legal status.
Yes, he's a legal resident, and that has been confirmed by authorities. Indeed, yesterday, the High Commissioner of Ghana to South Africa was invited to a meeting at the Vice President's office, the South African Vice President, and another apology was rendered, and that was confirmed that he's not an illegal migrant. He's law-abiding. He had broken no law, and the authorities reiterated the point they made in their statement that it is not for citizens to go around demanding legal documents or resident permits of other guests, other Africans living in South Africa, and that they should recognize that that is solely the mandate of the South African police. I must commend the South African authorities for how they have responded. Since placing a direct call to the South African Foreign Minister, my good friend and brother, Foreign Minister Lamola, they have taken steps. They empathize, express regret, apologize, and promised investigations. They have since taken steps. Yesterday, the Ministry of Police in South Africa issued a formal statement to
which we have a copy of
to condemn the xenophobic attacks and to assure us that everything will be done to protect our nationals in their country, and they deployed the xenophobia which continues to be exhibited,
and that's why the concern is that every time when this happens, first since 2008 we started tracking when this whole xenophobic attack started. Every time it happens, there's official apology and then official condemnation. But then every year it continues to happen. So the concern is that even though officialdom would acknowledge and apologize, and as has happened this time around again, they have reached out to the government of Ghana through you to apologize to us about what happened. That ends it. These people are not brought to book, arrested, to serve as a deterrent to others, so that if next year somebody is thinking about another xenophobic attack, the arrest and the kind of treatment given to such persons who take the law into their own hands will deter them. But beyond the apology and acknowledgement of wrong, not much is done. Would you agree? Is it not?
You make a very fair point, and I'm on all fours with you. And that's why when I summoned the Acting High Commissioner of South Africa to Ghana on Thursday, I made clear that Ghana demands swift investigations. The investigations they have promised, they have to be swift, and we demand sanctions to serve as adequate deterrence. We do not want a situation where these consistent xenophobic attacks continue with impunity, and our nationals and other Africans, continue to bear the brunt, become victims. You've seen the very depressing videos of physical assault, violence, people being attacked, people being, some years ago, people were bent, shops were looted. You now have a situation where even hospitals are raided. The sick are not even spared. No compassion, no humanity. If you are a South African in this hospital, you can stay, but all other Africans leave. And you see, when you listen to the lady, it's clear that she has no appreciation of history.
Look, in fact, even before we get into the history, let's take a listen to her.
Okay.
Because yesterday when we advertised that you were coming, let me just say this, that shortly, my guest, as I indicated earlier, will also be joining us. That's Richard Ahiagba, is the Director of Communications of the MPP. Kofi Bento is Vice President of Imani Africa. Nelson Ross Ntakwamekpo is Majority Chief Whip MP for South Dike Constituency. Also, Martin Pebu will be joining us as well as we go on to have a bite on all of this conversation as we're having. But yesterday when we advertised that you were coming, we were able to get in touch with the lady in the video, that is Jacinta Zuma. Some persons around her said she wanted to explain why this group that she was leading, this vigilante group she was leading, did what they did, and why they questioned this Ghanaian, the gentleman Emmanuel Samoa in question. And this is the conversation that we had with her exclusively ahead of this morning's interview with you. Take a look.
Of countries as neighbors and as friends, we can't abuse each other to a point where we end up fighting each other for our own resources, because you as Ghanaians have your own country that has a responsibility to you to provide certain things. But if you need the help of South Africans, you can always ask them to come and assist here and there. That's perfectly acceptable, and we do the same. But it's unfair to expect that everyone can just walk into South Africa and start looking for jobs and doing crime and having businesses and breaking the laws when it comes to the restrictions on their visas, etc. And that is the cry that South Africans have, and that is the message that we wish that our neighboring countries could understand, that there's no hatred, there's no xenophobia. All we want is for our laws to be respected, because currently we've got millions of people that we don't know who they are. They come from all parts of Africa. I mean, our biggest problem is with Zimbabwe and Malawi, Mozambique, and Ethiopians and Somalians and Nigerians. Those are the ones that we've got the biggest problem with, and not forgetting those Pakistanis and Chinese now who are trying to set up shop. So those are the problems that we have. Unfortunately, when you're enforcing laws, you can't say, oh, you're one Ghanaian, and there's millions of Zimbabweans. Unfortunately, if we're saying it's the law, we have to enforce it with everyone. This is what I'm trying to explain to you, that is a narrative that is being pushed by the media. You can't say South Africans are attacking foreign nationals, whereas South Africans are defending themselves against foreign nationals. Currently, like I said, 60% of crimes committed in this country, serious crimes, and 65% of all organized crime is by foreign nationals. Does that sound like a statistics of people who are doing good things in the country, and the citizens of that country are expected to sit back and do anything? If we say or do anything, suddenly there's going to be claims that we're xenophobic. That is not fair, because we saw how Ghanaians, and we are actually proud of how you took to the streets and you were marching against Nigerians who are doing the exact same thing in your country as they.
So this is Jacinta Zuma, and this is her explanation to you, essentially, because this she got in touch with people around her because of the conversation. She's justifying or explaining why this happened. That she says we did something to Nigerians and so on, and the fact that we should fix the country and let people stay here to work. That's the explanation. You heard her for yourself. Now, what have you got to say on this?
Her ignorance and bigotry is most alarming. Look, first of all, when you listen to this lady, she clearly does not know that Ghana is hosting, currently as we speak, by official records, 3,194 South Africans who are living here. If you check our NIA data, the number of South Africans who have registered as non-Ghanaians to obtain the Ghana card, 3,194. 3,194 official statistics. So to make the claim that if you travel out of your country, then you're probably out of your mind, you don't want to fix your country. Is she aware that there are over 1 million South Africans living outside South Africa? I mean, these are official statistics. And then this claim that you want to blame foreigners for crimes.
So 65%.
Crime should be handled as crime. perpetrators should be punished. You don't distort it and use the unfortunate high crime in South Africa, which we all empathize with South Africans. I know many Ghanaians who have been victims of crime in South Africa. But you do not, because of bigotry, because of hatred, blame that on foreigners. But you see, this lady has to be taught some history. The Africans you are targeting today are the very people responsible for your liberation. It is us who came together, joined forces. Indeed, if you read Nelson Mandela's book, and I've brought a copy here, Long Walk to Freedom, the Madiba, Nelson Mandela, who led the liberation struggle in South Africa against apartheid, acknowledges the role of Ghana and many other African countries in supporting the ANC that led to the liberation of Jacinta and all of these people. And this is not how you show appreciation. Let me read from page 295 of Nelson Mandela's book, Long Walk to Freedom, when he traveled to Ethiopia to address the OAU in the early 60s. This is what he had to say about Ghana. He said, "In my address, I thanked the assembled nations for exerting pressure on South Africa, citing in particular Ghana, Nigeria, and Tanganyika." You know, Tanganyika is now Tanzania. Tanganyika and Zanzibar merged to now have modern day Tanzania, who spearheaded the successful drive to oust South Africa from the British Commonwealth. This is Nelson Mandela addressing African leaders and thanking Ghana, thanking Nigeria, thanking modern day Tanzania for the lead role we played in liberating our brothers and sisters in South Africa. After this address, Nelson Mandela and Oliver Tambo decided to tour the whole of Africa, seeking support, because they had then decided that, look, the ANC must now move up in terms of its strategies. It must now mobilize, form an army. They must escalate to boldly confront the apartheid regime, because the massacre, the killings of blacks was no longer tenable. Where did they get their support from? African countries.
True.
And Nelson Mandela documents them country by country in his book. For example, if you come to page 300, he says, "In Liberia, I met with President Tubman, who not only gave me $5,000 for weapons and training, but said in a quiet voice, quote, 'Have you any pocket money?' I confessed that I was a bit low, and instantly an aide came back with an envelope containing $400 in cash. From Liberia, I went to Ghana, where I was met by Oliver Tambo and entertained by Guinea's resident minister, Abdoulaye Diallo." And he documents leader after leader. In Senegal, he spoke highly of President Senghor. And he said, in the end, President Senghor furnished me. I'm reading from page 302. President Senghor furnished me with a diplomatic passport and paid for our plane fares from Dakar to our next destination in London. And this is how they left Africa. Ghana, if you come to the foreign ministry where I lead, we have a tall list of South Africans we issued Ghanaian passports to because they had been declared stateless. We had to give them aliases so that they can go around, mobilize. People do not know that many Africans, including Cubans, lost their lives in the Battle of Quito Carnival between 1983 and 1987. You had the likes of Captain Chikata, God bless his soul, as a key advisor, mobilizing resources. The financial contributions made, the support by way of scholarships, where our ministry is located. Many people do not know that in the 60s, 70s, all the way even to the 80s, that was where we had the International Students Hostel. A lot of these young South Africans who could not have higher education, the Ghanaian taxpayer, full scholarship, meals, everything for their upkeep, pocket money. Because, as Kwame Nkrumah said, we did not consider our liberation as the first African country. And if you read this book from pages 235 to 238, again, Madiba talks about how Ghana's independence gave them hope, gave them the inspiration, the belief that this is doable. They can defeat the apartheid regime. Now, Kwame Nkrumah said that the independence of Ghana is meaningless unless it is linked to the total liberation of Africa. So he considered himself an anti-apartheid and an African liberator, and conscientized Ghana. That is why when Guinea was on its knees, you remember our 10 million pounds support.
Yes.
You recall our first deployment of Ghanaian troops in 1960 to the Congo. Unfortunately, we could not protect our hero, who eventually was killed in the Congo. Then you come to all the way to Ecomog, how thousands of Ghanaians saved lives in Liberia, Sierra Leone, and all of. We've always had that Pan-African spirit. We've always believed that we must, as a people, be conscious of the fact that we cannot be selfish, and that our liberation cannot be complete if we do not actively support all Africans. So Pan-Africanism, African solidarity is in our DNA. So after all of this support, in cash, in kind, in solidarity, in love, in brotherhood, this is not how you treat the very people who helped to have you liberated, for you to now become a democratic state in 1994. So really, this lady Jacinta and all those in those vigilante groups, I still maintain that they are fringe elements. They must be in the minority. They clearly have no appreciation of their own history.
And that is the more reason why a lot more has been called on the officialdom to do something beyond just the apology and the condemnation, to deal with these people, to send a strong message and signal to them that they cannot continue this. We cannot continue to give apology to the victims and the countries every year when this happens and think that this is going to end. But I want to take a listen to Cyril Ramaphosa, because yesterday he spoke about this. And then my guest, other colleagues as well, will have a bite on this, because this is a troubling development, to say the least. The history that you have just outlined and summarized is quite clear. But then again, you have these people who are continuously doing this right from 2008. This people have been maimed because of this. People have lost property because of this. And this is what the president of South Africa said yesterday. Take a look.
We will not tolerate violence and acts of lawlessness directed at foreign nationals. No foreign national should be unlawfully barred from accessing public facilities, including health facilities and schools. We will not tolerate violence and acts of lawlessness directed at foreign nationals. No foreign national should be unlawfully barred from accessing public facilities, including health facilities and schools. We will not tolerate violence and acts of lawlessness directed at foreign nationals. No foreign national should be unlawfully barred from accessing public facilities, including health facilities and schools. Of lawlessness directed at foreign nationals. No foreign national should be unlawfully barred from accessing public facilities, including health facilities and schools.
So that's the president of South Africa there, and the other guests have joined the Honorable Samuel OKUDZETO ABLAKWA now. So I acknowledge officially the presence of Kofi Bento, is Vice President of Imani Africa. Mr. Bento, good morning. Thank you for joining us. Also, Richard Ahiagba is Director of Communications of the NPP. He has other ambitions in the coming days, which he would have to tell us before the end of the show. It's not within my power to say, but thank you.
Pleasure.
For joining us. Nelson Roxon Dapiamapo is the majority chief whip in this 9th Parliament, and then also the Member of Parliament for the people of South Dike constituency. Good morning.
Good morning.
Martin Pebble is private legal practitioner and also the convener of the Kumipreku demonstration. Martin Luther Pebble, good morning.
Morning, Mr. Council. You have to add that now I'm president of the lawyers who sound like carpenters, bricklayers, and masons. Yes, president of carpenters, bricklayers, masons. That's where Frank Davis is. In fact, exactly. So I'm happy to be. Exactly. So interesting. My feet in two professions.
We take it lightly. But anyway, thank you, General. Thank you very much.
Oh, so today I can't do the rituals. Oh, let's just be brief. We always need to remind ourselves.
There's always an exception. There's always an exception. But because General Samuel OKUDZETO ABLAKWA, I played this video of Cyril Ramaphosa to buttress the point that yes, officialdom acknowledges that this is wrong, but beyond this, something must be done, right? Beyond this condemnation, what are you impressing or demanding on them? And I'm talking about the South African government to do beyond this acknowledgement of wrong, please.
When we summoned the South African diplomats, we made clear that we expect full-scale investigations and that we want sanctions and that those perpetrators should be punished to serve as a deterrence to others. And I must say that so far we've had assurances, and one of the things I'm here to do is to urge calm. I have said that there should be no reprisal attack. I know that sometimes these things can be very emotive. Hatred and bigotry should not be fought by reciprocal hatred and bigotry. We should rather be mature, rise above it, and show them the way. It is Mandela who said that both the oppressor and the oppressed must be liberated, and that has always been his motivation and his raison d'etre. So we should avoid any attempt at reprisal attacks, going after South African businesses in Ghana, or the 3,194 documented South Africans here. At least for now, we have the assurances from the South African authorities that they are investigating. They have invited some of the persons identified in the video for interview, according to what they have told us. And then if you read carefully the statement issued by the South African Minister of Police,
yeah, that's
it was a strongly worded statement, and you see how Ghana was highlighted.
True.
And they said that those targeting Ghanaians and other Africans would not be spared.
Yes.
And we have to give credit to the South African authorities that they, on this matter, at least this year, this is the first time we are seeing such a strong statement, both from the president and from his ministers, and you are seeing a very firm stance being taken that they will no longer countenance this, and they are willing to go the full hog to bring perpetrators to justice. So I think that so far they are handling the matter quite well, and they give us some confidence.
Does it concern you that the AU is deafening silence on this matter where it continues? Because like check last year when this happened, there was no statement. This year, this happened what, last week? It's been over a week. The AU hasn't issued any statement on this matter. Does it concern you?
Well, you'll expect an African Union to be more dynamic, more active. But I do know from where I sit that there's a lot of backroom engagements that go on. The AU has reached out, they've called some of us, and I know that they've reached out to the South African authorities. But perhaps it may not be adequate to just leave this within the usual backroom diplomacy. It is always necessary to let the people that you lead, for even the credibility of the organization, and to build legitimacy and trust, that you speak publicly to this. So I will agree with those who say that they want to hear the AU, even though I must concede that they have reached out behind the scenes. Behind the scenes.
So Bento, here's why I bring you in, because of how perennial this has been. And I referenced this since 2008, and the official position of condemnation that doesn't necessarily translate into deterrence, as a matter of fact, to these people who do this on a yearly basis. What must be done differently?
So, unfortunately, it's like the state of humanity. Exodus 1:8. It's in the Bible. Exodus 1:8 says, there came a king in Egypt who did not know Joseph. It's a very important statement. What it means is, Joseph is the one Jew who saved that whole country. And they made him a prime minister. He saved the country. Then there came a king. When you are a king, you should know your history. You should have the sense of a leader. You should have a broad appreciation of how you've come where you are and what it takes to take your people forward. But when you have an illiterate in their history, a person who is unenlightened about how they have gotten to where they are, then you have a king who does not know Joseph. It leads to an oppression of the people who once saved you. I'm talking about the Bible. Now, what that led to is the whole book of Exodus. And if you read Exodus, that led to the collapse of a whole nation, Egypt. All right? You will see it as a Bible story. But whether you believe it literally or not, that's what you're seeing. You have these people in South Africa, unenlightened, uneducated, illiterate about their history. My blood is boiling. And seriously, who do they think they are? Okay, but I'll leave it alone. My calm minister here says nobody should go and do anything silly. But minister, mark that woman, put her name everywhere, and make sure she doesn't step in this country. Because what is this? Okay, migration is the history of humanity. We all move around. Okay, and what pushes us is survival. Either war, physical survival, or economics survival. In the case of South Africa, people went there to fight for them. We put our money behind them. All right? We have done so much for them. Today, if you go to South Africa, I don't want to go there. Okay? But our black friends, they don't make us proud. All right? The black people in South Africa don't make us proud. And I'll leave it there because generalizations are always wrong. We should identify the illiterates and unenlightened people like Jacinta and make sure that they don't have peace anywhere outside South Africa. They should stay there. okay, and make their country work. We are very proud of our country, Ghana, and I'm so happy the gentleman they are talking about was not an illegal immigrant.
Yeah, it's not.
He had broken no law.
Yeah.
He has a sound, solid country in Ghana. He can come here anytime, and thank you for calling him and making him know that he has a country behind him.
Okay.
Patriotism is when you know your country will fight for you, and for that reason you fight for your country. If an American gets locked up anywhere in this country, they'll send warships after them. Okay, and that's what your country does for you. So thank you. Any Ghanaian who gets stranded anywhere, call him, and if they want, send a plane to go and get him. It makes all of us proud that we are Ghanaians. Yes, send the whole presidential jet to go and bring one Ghanaian out, so they know that we have a country we are proud of. I think I'm too angry. I shouldn't continue.
Because you heard her that sort of justification of that engagement.
Every time I hear that woman, I get annoyed. Because one, like I said,
to fix our country, and
she's crazy.
Hold on.
No, hold on. I said I wanted to stop. No, when you tell me to fix my country, that's the kind of thing Donald Trump says. Illiterate, unenlightened people who don't understand the history of Ghana and what we have. It was Kwame Nkrumah, one man, who inspired the whole world, including people in America, that the black man was capable of managing his own affairs. He took a country, and we didn't fight a war for it. Okay? Mensa Saba and co. in the 1800s went to the courts of the Queen of England and argued, okay, for us in English. All right, and wrestled for our lands not to be taken over by the Queen, and they did in South Africa. They couldn't do it. We did it. All right, our independence was not fought for by war. We went and argued it. It was the fruit of our intellect. All right, and the Queen came here and handed it to us. You understand? We Ghanaians, since time immemorial, have Kwabonyi, Kwawun Sensei, hired a boat, a ship, put Ghanaians in all the way to England. The things we've done. The Anton William Amu, okay, centuries ago in Germany, okay, was wowing philosophers all over the place. So please, she doesn't know what she's talking about when you talk about Ghana, not this country. And this country is a solid, sound country. We can all remain here. If my brothers here, you people, that's why I keep fighting with you. The politicians, make it work. Okay, but look, I'm happy this gentleman is not running away because he's sort of whatever. He has something to do there. He's doing it lawfully, legally, and all fine. And that is how it ought to be. These South Africans come here. They come here to come do all kinds of things, including their white people come here and come and do all kinds of things. All right, because we need each other. Okay, so look, let me calm down. But honestly, this shouldn't happen. And when it happens, let's all see that it is what you see in Exodus 1:8. There comes a king who should know better, who doesn't know Joseph. He doesn't know what the people he's oppressing have done for them, you know, in the past. But yeah, I leave it to my very capable friend here, who is so far handling it in the way I like. But please mark that woman. Make sure she never comes to Ghana.
But you calm down. You calm down.
No. Hey.
We'll bring you on this matter. I mean, the Foreign Minister has given us clear indication of what the way forward is, and then also the decision to resettle the gentleman in question because of the level of exposure that he has had in this video and the threats that he's facing as a result of that as well.
Alfred, thank you. And thanks, Minister, and my senior Kofi. I think he said it all for us. It's annoying. And then when I sat there listening to the woman, it's very nauseating, the things she keeps saying. Even after the fact, she's not learned anything, and I'm shocked. You know, I've told myself I won't go to South Africa again. I've been in South Africa once, and I went to Johannesburg. The history was terrible. The experience was bad. The people are just angry. They're angry. And I'm not sure who they're angry at, but the white people who oppress them. Now, they can't confront them. They can't engage them. They can't vent what it is they are angry about to the white people who oppress them. Okay, economically they are trapped. Okay, the factors of production in the country is far beyond their reach. If you go to Johannesburg on a few occasions when I was there, you go and in the mornings they bring pickups and people are going to plantations and they are running to get in the pickup. So as many as can get in the pickup are the ones who have job for the day. So they are trapped. There's a challenge in their country. But this challenge is not due to migrants coming to the country. People who go to the country, as other Africans who go there, they go there to contribute to the economy. They invest. They are not there to take their jobs. They have a situation which is governmental or economic within the setup of their country to deal with. Their government must provide for them, must engage the policies. The people that they are angry and complain about, their fellow Africans, are not their problem. In fact, South Africans are unique in a sense that they are very inward looking. And I make this point very intentionally because of my experience there. I went there, we took an Uber to the Apartheid Museum. We alighted. My phone was left on the seat. I got down to pay the driver. Then the driver bolted. Because yes, another person in the back said, "Oh, because he ordered the Uber on his phone, the money was taken directly." So I got down to pay him, and once he told me that the money has been paid and deducted from his account, I just shut the door, forgetting my phone was there. So the minute I shut it, I realized my phone was there, and we started calling this driver. He disappeared.
In Ghana, he will get his phone back.
He disappeared. We called him. He shut his app off. We called Uber and all of that stuff. It took us 6 hours, and this guy was moving from Pretoria to here, and eventually we got him at Pretoria. We had to call one of the manager at the Apartheid Museum, called him and spoke their language to the guy. We had spoken to him through Uber. He said he didn't see anything. Soon as he left us, somebody bought the Uber, and so therefore that person must have taken it. Then the lady who was the manager there, we got friendly with her, and she said, "Oh, give me the number." He called the guy who had told us he didn't see the phone. Now in their language, telling the woman, "But yeah, he see the phone. If we can pay him 7,000 rand, he would give us the phone." So we agreed we'll pay him. So we chased after this guy. We go here and he keeps shifting. So we called the police. The lady called the police and said, "Look, what this guy is doing, he might end up bringing people to rob us." So we got plainclothes police people, we've got Uber for them, they sat in it, and we had 2 cars. So we got to one position, he said, "We are here." It was at 6 p.m.
Just tracking your phone.
Yes, at 6 p.m. Then this guy showed up, he went home, changed, had guns in his car.
Wow.
And met us at a location to give him my phone. So the minute he got there, we had the plainclothes police people. Once he got down, they surrounded the car and arrested him. And they checked the car, guns in the car. We took this guy to a police station. You know what? He was arrogantly telling the police people that, why are they taking the sides of foreigners against him?
That's what he told the police.
That's what he told them in their language. So it was a lady who was explaining this to us. So eventually I got my phone. And you know what? He was telling the police people to tell me to pay him because he had to drive from Pretoria to come to shoot at me or to shoot me or to rob me without knowing that we had police people. So if we had gone there without police, this was what this guy was going to do. And he didn't come alone. He came with 2 other people. Okay?
Guns in the car.
This is an Uber driver. You understand? So they don't just like people coming to their country, but they in their country are suffocating. And what is suffocating them, they can see it, they know it, they can address it. So my problem here, in acknowledging what the minister in our country is doing really to try to provide comfort for all Ghanaians, especially this individual involved in this matter, is the AU. I don't know how to describe it at this point, Alfred. I don't know how to describe the AU. Either it's a moribund institution, whatever it is, the AU has no balls. Because we have a continental organization for a reason. Okay? So if we have a continental organization and a country is misbehaving in this manner, I don't know why, for the life of me, the AU has not taken any step. Calling the minister and the government behind the scenes is not what the AU does. It's not what it does. It's not what it's supposed to do.
Backdoor engagement.
What backdoor? Do front door engagement so the people know. The country must, the government of South Africa must take responsibility. They must take responsibility. Beyond these matters, they must take responsibility. That, internationally now, people are like, all of us are now international, more or less global citizens, right? So people in other countries have rights. People in other countries have rights. So what to have a situation where people are harassed in a manner that's happening in South Africa is completely unacceptable. So African Union must stand for something. If they can't do anything, at least to promote internal cohesion in the continent, the free movement of people, African people in Africa, that little bit of thing, they should be able to do it. Otherwise, I don't see why we have an African Union.
Thank you.
Event after event, they're just there in name, but you don't see them do anything substantially to improve the lot of the African. And this is a matter that African Union must engage in. And we, the rest of African countries, must name and shame South Africa for some of these things. That it's annoying, it is disgraceful, it's embarrassing. It shows that they don't appreciate history and the contribution the rest of Africa has made to their liberation.
You see, and Mr. Bento made a point about let's not generalize the situation, because honestly, the experiences will be different. I mean, earlier in the year, I was there for the G20 summit in Sandton.
Where?
Sandton.
Where?
Sandton.
Okay.
Yes. You will say Sandton is probably
that's why I asked you where.
It's an area
Those
where
are
you
the
would...
places where the white people have improved. You go to Cape Town, areas in Johannesburg,
yes,
and you see the effect of sound government. And
so the experiences are different.
Let me just leave it.
But then again, I understand the point. And this is not to water down on the experience.
You can't want too many when this keeps happening. Okay, in a country, you cannot exonerate yourself if you're a government and you run a country and this is how people are treated.
I agree.
Especially when your people are in every other country.
True.
You understand?
Thank you. On this very quickly.
Thank you very much. Let me thank the Honourable Minister for doing this, because there have been some concerns raised that the government should speak, the minister should issue a statement and should address the nation, and so I'm very happy that he's doing this. Look, like Bento said, humanity, at the center of humanity is migration.
Yeah, that's true.
We move around.
We all move around.
There are South Africans in Dubai.
Yeah.
I've met them. There are South Africans in India. I went to India. I met South Africans who are resident there working
everywhere.
Indians are not complaining. They own shops and compete with Indians. So what's happening? Look, what's happening has been happening for some time. So even in academia, there has been some work done on this issue of Afrophobia. Black on black violence. If we do this to ourselves on the African continent, how do you blame President Trump for the policies he's rolling out on continental America? How are you going to complain about that? So you see, but it's a general problem. I was in Conakry recently. The Guinea people are complaining about the influx of Nigerians. And the fact that they are taking over some basic businesses that they feel should be left for the indigents. There's that general complaint. And we must never get there. We have a similar issue in Senegal. Ghana, if you listen to the lady carefully, she referenced the fact that as Ghanaians we are complaining about the influx of Nigerians, and we have even gone out to demonstrate and all that. So she was trying to equate that to what's happening. But we don't attack. We are protested. Yes, but that's the end. By all means, protest. Make your voices heard. But don't go physically removing people, beating them. And we must be extremely careful. If we do this to ourselves, how do you complain when the Europeans are building fence walls and preventing our people from crossing the Mediterranean and entering Spain or Italy or Malaga? Or when Morocco itself, as part of one of us, also maltreat our people when they enter the Maghreb. And I'm going to South Africa tonight. Pan-African duties, and it's so I'm actually thinking of raising this matter on the floor of Pan-African Parliament.
You should do it, but I have an idea for you. When it finishes, I'll say it.
Because you see, it has to happen. We have to. It has to stop. There's population explosion everywhere. We agree.
Yeah.
But you cannot be attacking ourselves because you think that somebody is a foreigner. Because we all sojourners somewhere.
True.
We all sojourners somewhere. In fact, some of those people in the streets beating a countryman and others, go and trace their history. His parents may not even be an original South African.
True.
He must have had the privilege of being born in South Africa, but his parents must have been migrants from, say, Malawi or Botswana or from across Zambia or Zimbabwe
to work.
To go and work in the mines, and you get the privilege of being born. But they are the people who go out and beat others. So I'm happy that the minister has spoken eloquently to the issues. I would love a statement because that people want to see that.
We've done that already.
Yeah, okay, great.
There's a statement out 2 days ago.
Yesterday was
3 days ago.
pretty busy for us, so I didn't follow. But once the statement has been issued,
Right.
nerves will be calmed down, and people would appreciate the fact that. But like Bento said, AU must take this matter up. A fact-finding team should be sent to SA to go and really go around and appreciate what's happening and bring a report back to AU. If I get to Johannesburg today and proceedings start on Monday, I'm going to raise it and demand that the Pan-African Parliament sends a fact-finding team to go around and bring a report. Then some resolutions can be passed to this effect and directed at the continental body in Addis Ababa for some action. We have to do something.
You know,
because
well, you can make statements. Yes. Pardon me, I think wild.
Yes.
Honorable here. There are times when a nation has to project itself.
Yeah.
If I were president, you know what I would do? I will let you go with our presidential jet. All right, land it in South Africa, and I'll issue a statement. Any Ghanaian who wants to come home, we have brought a plane to pick you up.
Come and climb on board and let's
Yes, that's what I will do. To send a message that
we are not hungry.
We
are not hungry.
Okay, so if Mr. President can do it, for me, this is what you use jets and things. The reason why the US has this huge jet,
it's for things like that. Evacuation.
They are projecting themselves in your face. Look, I would love it if our jet with our flag on it lands in South Africa, and you issue a statement on that floor there, and you issue a statement to everybody that, look, we are here because of what's happened. If any Ghanaian wants to go home, there's a private jet waiting for you. Let's go home. So they know that we have a country.
Right. And see, this is just
so let me do it. Yeah. So let me conclude. It's a beautiful idea, and the minister is here, so I'm sure it may be considered. So let the South Africans know. One of the biggest companies in this country is of South African origin, MTN. We love what they do. And so we should also go out and attack MTN. We cannot do that. Because by all means, we need to cross-fertilize.
Yeah.
Already we are talking about African unity, a borderless Africa. OKUDZETO is championing a policy where every Africa entering Ghana wouldn't require a visa.
Yes.
Wouldn't pay visa fees.
You would pay visa fees. Yeah, so you don't need a visa. You're just walking. Visa free. Borderless Africa. We are asking South Africans to enter Ghana without the requirement of trying to acquire a visa. What's the difference, Honourable Minister?
Yeah, the difference.
You have a visa, but you don't pay for it.
Yes, you have an e-visa.
Okay.
You'll be screened.
Yes.
Vetted.
So visa free.
So it's free visa.
No money.
Free visa.
You won't pay for it.
Okay.
You won't pay for it, but you'll be granted the visa gratis. You'll be issued the visa gratis.
Yes. So
yeah.
So
that's what the visa free exists. We can go to South Africa without necessarily.
Yes, we have that bilateral agreement with South Africa.
We are trying to improve on relationships, improve on movement.
And this,
you know, and you want to take us back 100 years. It's unacceptable. It's unacceptable.
Just a quick one.
Thank you.
So it means that this bilateral arrangement we have in South Africa, where there's you can go without visa, and looking at this climate they have created, it actually is benefiting them more than us. Because they have created a certain hostile environment that prevents us from going, but then we're open. And like you described, we're warm and welcoming. So they get a chance to come, and when our people go, then they are accosting them in the streets. And in light of this, the government should take responsibility, because we have that arrangement with them, and our people are there, and they are being treated this way. Then what is the value of that bilateral agreement?
My worry is the troops of Ghanaians in the universities who are pursuing various postgraduate degrees, and who often in the evenings they go to town. So they must be careful, take security seriously.
Thank you. Let me on this. Quickly.
I think everything that has to be said has been said. So I would say I concur to make it short, so we'll move on. Except that, Honorable, somebody just sent me a message that in Cote d'Ivoire they are expecting you to intervene, that they are also experiencing some hardships.
Yes. You should intervene for Cote d'Ivoire.
Yeah, Ghanaians in Cote d'Ivoire. They said they've petitioned you.
We are looking into it. We have a team from a mission in Abidjan looking into it.
Okay, that's it. In fact, there are quite a number of messages. Someone's asking, please ask the Honorable when he mentioned the Ghanaians who he negotiated for their release in Ukraine, that they have been arrested. So what exactly happened? I think that's from Professor.
Yes, the two prisoners of war. The good news is that the president of Ukraine has communicated to the government of Ghana directly that following the appeal we made, he has decided that those two will be released. So we are arranging a meeting. It's likely that President Mahama will meet President Zelensky at a date and venue to soon be decided, and then those two prisoners of war will be handed over to President Mahama. So the good news is that we have positive results from the negotiations which I led.
I see. And finally, before we go, so after this condemnation and then also the decision to resettle this gentleman in question in the video that has gone viral, what are the points or the major actions being taken to ensure that this does not happen again? Not just to Ghanaians, but to all African citizens in South Africa.
Yeah, so it's important to recap quickly what we have done so far. Immediately this video went viral, I called the South African Foreign Minister, my counterpart, Foreign Minister Roland Lamola, and protested. He promised investigations. The next day, I summoned the Acting High Commissioner here, and then we asked our High Commissioner in South Africa to issue a statement, to meet with the leadership of the Ghanaian community there. That was done. They also secured the protection of the gentleman who was under attack, Mr. Emmanuel Asamoah. The High Commissioner met him. Indeed, he was hosted at the embassy so that he will be kept safe. We have continued the bilateral engagements, which has culminated in this statement that the Minister of Police of South Africa has issued, assuring us that the investigations continue. Indeed, we have seen evidence that those persons in the vigilante group have been interviewed and that the investigations are ongoing. They have assured that there will be strict sanctions for those who are found to have violated South African law. And following that assurance and President Cyril Ramaphosa's speech to the nation, we are hoping that South Africans who engage in this, they'll see that the stakes are now very high. It is costly to engage in that bigoted, very incendiary, violent behavior which does not pay, and that Afrophobia and xenophobia will not, be allowed to take root in South Africa. So I think that those are assuring words from the South Africans. We have also assured the South African authorities that we will keep our reputation of being very hospitable, very friendly. There will be no reprisal attacks. Their businesses are free to operate. The 3,194 documented South Africans living in Ghana will be protected. We have given those guarantees, and we hope that Ghanaians will continue to be safe. But we have also indicated that Ghanaians who don't feel safe and want to return to Ghana, we are willing and ready. You know, we have been carrying out evacuations during this U.S.-Israeli Iran war. We've carried out a number of evacuations from Iran to Qatar, UAE, Saudi Arabia, and Israel. And so we have the capacity. We always have an emergency plan ready because we don't want to leave any Ghanaian in harm's way. So that offer has been made. But immediately, as for the gentleman, we are relocating him, as I have said earlier. Mr. Samoa must be taken out of there. It's clearly not safe.
Right.
And if you continue to hear the statements, the targeting, what the leader of that group is doing, we really have to take our citizen out of there, and we are going to do that. And those arrangements are underway. So these are the measures we have taken so far.
And very quickly before we go, and exactly a month ago, in fact, that's when this historic diplomatic victory at the United Nations General Assembly took place, passed this motion on reparations for the transatlantic slave trade. Now, this is it. This was the outcome. And since then, these three countries have been explaining why they decided to take that position. But what happens after this? Exactly a month on, the March 25th. What happens after this particular victory?
You know, 25th March is a day that I know the Osagefo, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, will have wished that he was alive to witness that day. Nelson Mandela will have wished that he was alive to witness that day. Julius Nyerere, Nnamdi Azikiwe, Patrice Lumumba, all of these greats, we really have wished that they were alive. That was a watershed moment. Many before us have been longing for that day, agitating, and I agree with Professor Bafwa Jimandia, who said that he is so grateful to God that he had long life to see March 25th, 2026. It's a landmark, historic moment, and that UN resolution will forever and ever be celebrated. And I will never forget that resolution. Even if you wake me up in the middle of the night, I will recite it for you. Resolution A/RES/80/250. It's really significant development, and the transatlantic slavery, which took place between the 15th and 19th century, almost 400 years of the total dehumanization of a race, where we were not considered as human beings.
Chattels.
We were treated as chattels, as property. And the indignity, the horrors, where human beings stripped naked, your body parts inspected publicly, auctioned, after you have been kidnapped, kept in dungeons. And for us in Ghana, Ghana is a crime scene. We have the highest number of forts and castles anywhere in the world. So this was the slave masters, the slave raiders. Yes, they found Ghana very convenient for their atrocities, because we are the center of the earth and very good location, so that they can just out of the door of no returns move out these And we are talking about over 12.5 million of our compatriots, people of African descent, Africans, taken out forcibly, torn from their families, from their homes, from their roots. And there has been no appropriate acknowledgement. And you see, we have to put this in proper context. There have been other atrocities. Those atrocities were remembered. People were punished. Reparations were paid. Look at the Holocaust. Germany is still paying. And what makes our pain even more
it's okay.
I mean, more unbearable, I should say, and it gets emotional.
Yeah.
You see, when you consider the fact that when slavery was eventually abolished in 1865, you had the slave masters compensated. Can you believe that?
For losing
the slaves,
for losing property,
for losing the slaves, they were compensated. And if you read from the British archives, they have paid these slave masters and their descendants all the way to as recent as 2015. That's when they finished paying. And some estimates put it at over 2.7, between 2.7 to about 7 billion pounds, depending on which exchange rate you're using. And then the real victims have never been compensated. A lot of these perpetrators have not apologized. So far in Europe, it is only the Dutch government that has frontally, officially apologized, and they have said they are willing to take steps to compensate. And you see, when I hear some people say, oh, but it was business and it was legal and all of that.
No, the reason we contribute.
You know, they clearly do not know what they are talking about. I mean, do they know how many Jews took part in the Holocaust, who were faith columnists, who were traitors of their own people? But it did not make them the masterminds, the perpetrators, those who really set up the system. You would always find some traitor, some faith columnist, but it does not mean that there should be justification or sharing of equal guilt. So this is a very defining moment in history, very consequential, and we all must be proud of the leadership that President John Dramani Mahama offered, and to have almost a two-thirds endorsement. This is unanimous. I mean, almost unanimous. To have 123 countries, only 3 voted against, and the abstention 52, largely from Europe. I mean, this resolution has now passed, and for next steps, we have said that we're going to maintain the momentum. President Mahama will be hosting a high-level consultative conference on the 18th and the 19th of June. And these are significant dates because 19th June is the day that the last batch of slaves were released. That is why in the US it's now a public holiday called Juneteenth. Juneteenth. You know, the 19th of June, 1861. That's when the last batch of slaves, you know, were freed. So we are going to commemorate that. There is the first time that they will be commemorated outside the United States. We'll jointly commemorate it with all our partners in this coalition from the Caribbean, Latin America, Europeans, all over. And you know, the interesting thing about this resolution is that it was co-sponsored by 72 countries. All the 55 AU member states, all the Caribbean, 15 Caribbean member states of CARICOM. We had Latin American support, co-sponsors, including Brazil, Colombia, Ecuador. And then even in Europe, people create the impression that we didn't get any support from Europe. Check. From Belarus, Russia, all the way to Serbia. You know, so all regions of the world, including Asia, you had China, you had South Korea, you know, India. I mean, virtually all the Asian tigers. You know, Malaysia, all of them supported this. So this is such a defining moment, very consequential. We need to keep the momentum. And Ghana is going to continue to offer this leadership. President Mahama, as Africa Union champion on reparatory justice, will continue to be a torchbearer. All he wants is to unify, deal with the fragmentation. You know, there's a CARICOM 10-point plan. AU is developing a different strategy. The African Americans also have this bill they've been trying to push through Congress. We are saying when we meet in June, we want to now come together and have one common framework. If it's the CARICOM 10-point plan we want to adopt, let's all adopt it. If it is, if we will enhance it, let's all come together, have a common position, a common framework, what we are demanding. The restitution, and did you follow what happened last week? It's interesting that after the US voted against this resolution, President Trump last week signed a new law passed by Congress which allows the Jews to reclaim all artifacts in possession of the Nazis, no matter how far back it goes. Very interesting. And it tells you that restitution is possible. These artifacts can be returned, except that it depends on who is asking for asking for it. But all of this gives us the inspiration. It gives us the encouragement that we must keep at it. And the unity.
You said that the Dutch have indicated that return.
Yes, exactly. The Dutch have given us a list of items they want to return. Thank you very much. And President Macron has also said that he's willing to engage to return artifacts and to see what kind of understanding we can have moving forward so far as reparatory justice is concerned. So the momentum is on our side. It's a defining moment in history, and we all have to come together. On this matter, I don't see any partisanship. There should be no division. We should all be united as people of Africa and African descent, and keep the momentum and pursue this justice, secure this justice for our ancestors and for our people. And you know, as Kwame Nkrumah said, it is out of the transatlantic slavery or enslavement that racism was born. All of what we are discussing, even up to the point of seeing these inequities, structural racism, that's where it all started from, where depending on the color of your skin, you are considered less human. You know, you are degraded. So we need to acknowledge that if we want to totally shatter all of these structures of racism, then it comes from securing justice, bringing the perpetrators to book. That is how we are going to make sure that we build a fair and just society where nobody is discriminated against because of the color of their skin. Perfect. Thank you. Zobeto, just a brief one on this so we move on to the next issue.
It's very important that we appreciate this point. The history we have been taught is not accurate. All right? This, congrats to you and congrats to President Mahama, because it brings the matter to the fore. You know, the Jews lost about 6 million people, and they've never let us forget. Every year they celebrate it. Reparations were paid to Israel, reparations were paid to Jews, they are still paying. Okay, the first genocide in the 20th century was that of the Herero and Nama people in Namibia against Africans. Nobody talks about it. King Leopold of Belgium, perpetrated a genocide in Congo, which affected almost 20 million people, over 10 million Africans. That history must be taught. That was a trade in human beings. And then there is slavery and then there's a slave trade. There's a difference there. What you've done is to bring these things to a fore. We Africans don't make a lot of noise about it, but that history will be corrected. And when humanity takes account of what has happened, the point has to be made that we Africans have been at the worst end of oppression of all this. And when people talk about reparations, there are all kinds of angles to it. But it's important again for people to appreciate that in Britain and in the US, when people gave up their slaves, they were paid. And in America, in fact, read it, there was the promise of a mule and 40 acres of land. There were so many things, and these are important.
Great.
We are not asking them to feed us or whatever it is, but these have had structural effects on us. And some of these things, if for anything at all, they send the signals, they help to set the history straight. Okay, it is a fact that if not for slavery, maybe some of the people they have taken, including the Einsteins and people who have transformed the African continent. Right. So it's not just asking for money. For me, my interest is in correcting the history for our kids to know when they meet these people, they shouldn't feel inferior. Okay. Perfect. When you see Europeans and Americans and the wealth that they have passed along generations, they got it by working Africans for free.
Thank you. Kofi Bento, thank you very much.
Very important. Very important.
No, this.
I think we need to commend the minister and the government, the president, but also in that acknowledgement, we need to make a very important point. I was expecting my brother to make that acknowledgement. President Mahama is standing on the shoulders of President Akufo-Addo in this matter. Akufo-Addo, in the 78th General Assembly, began a conversation on reparation. And immediately, this was in September 2023, and immediately after that, came to Accra and convened the Accra Reparation Conference that lasted, so I think in November 14 through to 17 or 18, to fashion out a unified strategy to pursue this reparation. And so it is important in this hour where we have succeeded in getting the world's attention on this matter and achieving this motion, we need to appropriately appreciate the contributions of all our leaders. So President Mahama, yes, he was standing in line when the historic, victory was chalked, but there was a process leading to that. And I think that other presidents before, but most especially President. Oh, okay.
I talked about the history.
Okay, but I just want that to be accentuated properly. It should be accentuated. So President Akufo-Addo cannot be left out, and then President Mahama ought to be commended. I think it's a joint effort, and we need to proceed in that direction.
Thank you very much, Richard Ahiagba. Thank you very much for the gentlemen. Thank you. The Honorable Samuel OKUDZETO ABLAKWA will take leave of us now, but thank you so much for coming, and then also the information given to us about the gentleman in question, because a number of people had sent some information or messages about what's going to be done for him and to him. Now we know.
Oh, he's safe. We got him covered.
He's safe and covered as well. Thank you, and also for the next step forward.
Yeah, we are bringing him back.
Thank you very much for making the time to join us. Samuel OKUDZETO ABLAKWA is Minister in charge of Foreign Affairs. Thank you. Our next issue is the Special Prosecutor and matters arising, or the Office of the Special Prosecutor and matters arising. The Special Prosecutor himself, Kessie Jabeng, gave an indication of all of this happening about almost 2 months ago, before all of these issues started playing out, about the challenges with the office and then what could be done going forward. Take a look.
The attempt to scrap the office of the Special Prosecutor last year is not dead. And this is a challenge I'm giving to civil society. It is not dead, it is live. But we should not depend on the goodness of the president to say withdraw it from parliament. Rather, we should build this institution for the ages. An institution which stands the test. I was approached in respect of how to reform, and a lot of the talk I heard was revolving around me. And I told these well-meaning people that do not make proposals because of my nature. Some may see me as good, some may see me as evil. But do not turn legal provisions around my traits and characteristics. In the same way, I'm saying, do not let this officer's existence depend on the fact that the president wants it to operate as we saw.
They're making a number of demands. They say that this High Court that flies in the face of the law because the matter is before the Supreme Court. And I'll show you the trial judge at the High Court's position on this matter, whether it had jurisdiction to hear the case or not. and they're expecting the OSP to seek a stay and quash orders, the stay of execution. This is one that the OSP has taken the measure already. Lamatipebu, I'll start off with you on this. These demands by the civil society organizations, as I have just outlined there, is it one that you align with, the concerns they have raised?
Look, what I would say is that in a democracy, conversations like this are welcome, because usually it's in the conversations that they yield better results. So I may not directly agree with them, but I agree that they should speak, okay? Even though some appear to be conflicted, because some are actually partners of the OSP. So it means that, like, if you go to the website of the OSP, you see some of them there as official partners. So when they speak, it means that that's the OSP speaking, etc. So there are the whole area. You see, the whole corruption fight right now is in a bit of a jumble, disarray, because the deeper you get into the arena, then the more you see that even in the fight against corruption, there is corruption.
In the fight against corruption, there
is corruption. There are people talking loud here and there. A lot of them have had relations employed by Kissi Jabe in the OSP, etc. So they are not honest brokers. They are not honest brokers. You see, so it's a very complex news. So you as you fight, then you see that, oh, okay, that's why they say everybody is conflicted in certain ways. Yeah. So that area that we are fighting, you hear people shouting corruption, corruption. They are anti-corruption crusaders. They have interest in the office of special prosecutor. Today, if we audit the office and find out relations, etc., look, you run, then you see that we'll forget about this fight, right? Because some have a vested interest. But well, until we do the audit, let them speak, except that maybe they should disclose that interest that they have. Those who have had relations, employed sons, daughters, brothers, nephews, etc. And those who ride on the office of special prosecutor to get funding. Yes, because they're able to boast that we are official partners, etc. So it's not a clean fight. It's a fight for some people's stomachs. Yeah, it's survivor. That's what this game is about. The CSUs. Some is survivor, because they are not sure how the new special prosecutor will come in. Because remember, I have a pending petition for the removal of Kissi Jabe for a lot of the conflict of interest, for a lot of the corruption he's involved in.
So you have put in a petition to the president?
Yes, I'm not disclosing the details, but at least I'm saying that I have put in a petition.
Okay.
Yes.
Right. But how can this particular issue be addressed? And the special prosecutor himself acknowledges that there's a certain fight for survival, because that's why I played this tape to precede our conversation, that he says some things need to be done so that the next special prosecutor after him will not spend too much of the time fighting for survival.
Yeah.
As in the office surviving. How can these issues with the law that established the office be addressed without it appearing to be an attack on the office and its efficiency in the fight against corruption?
Well, what's happening is that, like he said, as for the office, look, as for the office, it's here to stay. There's already been a Supreme Court decision, okay, concerning Matnamidu, and from the way that Supreme Court decision went, if the office was unconstitutional, it would have come down.
His age was
exactly. Yes. So peripherally, as for the office, we all embrace it. Let's separate the fights. The thing is not about the office. Yeah. It's actually about how the power is exercised. That's the power to prosecute. And the reason you find people like us wishing that there is a supervision of the power to prosecute is that I have 1,001 cases in which you find that a group of people are alleged to be involved in corruption, etc. Then Kissi Jabe will pick and choose. So the biggest mistake we've made, we pick and choose those you prosecute and those you leave out, and then we feel like, remember I have this famous example I used to cite, that there was Clara Napaga Tia Suleimana, very close to Akufo-Addo at the time. She was the last person to approve for the NDA case that went. You took all the sabotage and left the Ogboro, the madam, who finally approved, because she's very close, Akufo-Addo's friend. Kisi Jabin left out Napagatia, Clara, etc. There are 1,001 cases. The very case that led to the High Court decision is because of favoritism, Kisi Jabin's links to Techi Mensing, etc. Okay? So
there was the NDA case, there was a matter in court this week.
Yes.
It was supposed to deliver a judgment.
Yes, but it couldn't.
And then they
couldn't. I should think it's because of the High Court decision. To be very honest with you, Ghanaians, listen, me with what I've heard and seen how Kisi Jabin handled the office, listen, to be honest, look, even if they were to free all the people, it's not my matter. We can start afresh because what he's involved in is
that's for you to prove. That's for you to prove.
If you hear, if you see me talk like this, he knows it. He can't face me on it.
That's for you to prove.
I'll wait for the day I'll publish my petition and you see. I'm very upset
that's
about
because
this
at some point
we are not fighting corruption. This is joking.
When the Chief Justice,
it's a complete joke.
Hold on. When the Chief Justice, now your petition has been referred to the Chief Justice.
Yeah.
There's a process that it has to go through.
Yes.
Eventually, the CJ will let us know. The verdict will be known to all of us going forward.
Yes.
The question is about, you have an issue with the person. Now I'm talking about the office.
Oh, as for the office, there's no issue at all. Is that let's limit it. The office there is going to survive. Let's be very clear. The office is going to survive. Hey, we need it seriously. But now what we need is that Kisi's governorship, okay, Kisi's governance of the area, his leadership, is shown us that the law is very weak. You see, when you present a petition, it takes too long. We need to rework the law so that we keep the special prosecutor in check. It's not every special prosecutor who have the character of Martin Amidu. And Kisi Jabin has taught us a very hard lesson. That you see, look at Martin Amidu's character and look at Kisi. Then you see that, hey, we've learned that lesson, that the special prosecutor will not always be an angel. So even before you talk about independence, the first law you need is ethics around the special prosecutors himself, the individual. So that you don't have a situation where Kisi Jabin allows his client, Oforiata, your former client, you allow him to abscond with 5 cases on his head. You allow your friends, Kisle Ajima, he's sitting in parliament now where he should have been facing court, etc. That is the
these issues have you raised because we don't know, and then obviously it is for you to prove. That's why I kept referencing the fact that if you've captured it in the petitions you have sent, and when called upon, you can actually adduce evidence to that effect.
Yes, so what I'll do is, as for Kingsley Ajiman's case, we show the statements of the people who confessed that Kingsley Ajiman gave them scholarships to smear Atachian so that Kingsley Ajiman. We showed them here on this program, etc.
The exercise of the authority.
Yes.
Will the OSP seeking authorization from the special that's the Attorney General in any way undermine the efficiency and the impact of the office?
I don't see it because, listen, Attorney General has said it publicly that if Kisi Jabin applies for it, he will give. But right now, our major problem, you see, we are losing focus. It's not just the authorization. What we should be more interested in, the reason these fights are ongoing is that Kisi himself is promoting corruption through the various things.
That's what for you
I've already given reason. Yes, that's my interpretation.
As I say,
yeah, you can disassociate yourself. And the TV3, I know TV. But I'm saying that Oforiata, he's allowing Oforiata to run away. He's like Jiman sitting in parliament, not facing court, etc. He said Jabi is promoting
but I'm saying that.
So that is what is fueling all of this.
But I asked a question, and you are saying that you, with the seeking authorization from the Attorney General, is not going to in any way. That's not the issue.
But
that's at the heart of what we
it's just playing out. That's the surface, because the Attorney General, I can show you, he's told lawyers publicly that he will issue it pro tanto the moment he says Jabin there's a request for it. The real fight is not just about the authorization. The real fight we are confronted with is a partisan OSP who is doing things to favor himself and his friends, promoting corruption. That is what is really fueling this thing. Where we are is a joke. The Supreme Court asked for throwing out that office. It will never happen. The office is here to stay. The big problem is how we didn't put in rules to keep the special prosecutor himself in check. We just presume that if you take take anybody to come and fight corruption, ipso facto, the person will stop his personal weaknesses. All his personal weaknesses will suddenly disappear and he will become an angel. That is where the fight is. As for authorization, that is not the real fight. Because now the hard lesson, as I say, is that you are giving authorization to somebody who is also aiding corruption.
That is for you to prove, and I keep saying that all the time.
There is publicly available evidence. Jabin said he couldn't shout Julo.
But that's not for him to shout.
Julo, the one that got me to be. Oh, this will yes. Let me complete this sentence. Remember, I kept saying that he said Jabin couldn't shout Julo, a view. For us to arrest Ofuriata. Ofuriata that he worked for, Ofuriata that is a relation to Gabi and President Kufuor, etc. And so we are saying that is corruption in itself, etc. And you are saying that it's just authorization. We are learning the hardest lesson, that the fact that you put somebody in charge of corruption doesn't mean that that person himself is immune from corruption. That is where the real fight is. That is where the real fight is.
And that is what I've stated continuously, that since you have already told us that you have captured this in your petition, that's for you to prove, right? And consistently, as you refer, because I'm actually not going to go on that path, because if I keep asking you even to prove it, and because that's why when you keep referencing the fact that he's engaged in corruption, that's because you've captured it in your petition.
It's publicly available information.
Go into the details so that we don't have to. Perfect. Now, the concern that the CSOs raise is about how this would impact the fight against corruption. And that's why I started from that perspective. Your position is that all of this is not going to...
Yeah, that's not the real fight.
So I'll bring you on this particular issue as to whether this is not the real issue, the authorization that the OSP is being asked to seek from the Attorney General before prosecuting any case in the name of the state.
Article 88(4), I read, all offenses prosecuted in the name of the Republic of Ghana shall be at the suit of the Attorney General or any other person authorized. It's not only the Attorney General, any other person authorized. And how is the authorization going to come? By him in accordance with law. So there are a number of things there. One, there can be laws through which the authorization of the Attorney General can be passed on to other people. Who passes law? Parliament. Look, we are straining, we are passing sentences, we are splitting hairs about this matter. Okay, but a number of things must be established. Okay, one, this fight about the office of the special prosecutor, too much of it has to do with the person of Mr. Kissie Jabin and people's disagreements with him, just like you've heard from Martin. All right, and I think that is distracting from the main mission. Okay, next thing, the office of that special prosecutor is an entity that we are unanimous about in terms of needing it, in terms of the fight against corruption. Okay, the third point that must be established beyond doubt is the attack on the office of the special prosecutor is doing damage to our fight against corruption. This week alone,
the attack on the office,
yes, there's an attack on the office, is doing terrible damage. This week alone, because of the this attack, which has shaken the authority of the special prosecutor, there are a series of applications in court, all right, stopping these prosecutions until this matter is settled.
True.
And the question has to be asked, what does that do in terms of that very wide-ranging, consequential order from the High Court, which I think was totally per incuriam and, out of his authority, basically making nonsense of other prosecutions. Okay, he's put in abeyance and in, jeopardy everything that the special prosecutor is doing. And I ask myself, so what are they saying in terms of the case of Ken Ofori-Atta right now? Okay, and all the other people that they are going after. My point is this: we are agreed on the main issues. And okay, so this fight about these peripheral issues and you should go and just ask for the authorization. Look, there are strategic issues here. If we are saying, and there's a law to that effect, read the law. There's an LI to that effect, that indeed he doesn't need to have express authority from the Attorney General.
You reference 88(4).
Yes, I reference 4. You see,
all offenses prosecuted in the name of the Republic of Ghana shall be at the suit
of the Attorney General,
or any other person authorized by him in accordance with
law.
Any law.
So other people may do it. Laws may confer.
So does it mean that it doesn't need any express authorization from the Attorney General because the law has taken?
You see, the thing about law is it's not mathematics. 1 + 1 is 2 in New York and it's 2 here. But when you come to the interpretation of this, it is clear to me that one, the AG may prosecute. Other people may prosecute. Today in this country, other people GRA prosecutes, Senate prosecutes, police prosecute, other people prosecute. Okay, AG can give them authority to prosecute, or that authority can be gotten from a law. And we were all part of the discussion. We passed the law and put in the law that authority has been granted. Then they said, oh, Eli, look at the Hansard. The narration is there. The speaker raised the issue. AG Ayine raised the issue. They dealt with it and said, look, we don't want to do something which will create a situation of co-warranto, which is where we are today. And so they passed LI, etc. It's the AG herself who took it there. Look, there is strong interpretation to the effect that the OSP does not need express authorization from the AG, because indeed, if he does, there's no use for that office. The exact reason why the OSP was set up is because we don't want a situation where the AG can interfere in their work, authorize them to do or authorize them not to do. So that thing I think is settled. But I said, we are having this fight because people have a problem specifically with,
the person?
Yes, the person, yes. And I have said, okay, I have my own problems with how Kisei Jabin handled Ken Ofori-Atta's case, and I've been proven right on everything. But I have also said that Kisei Jabin, I took the unions of TOR, Tamale Refinery, went to him, made petitions, and he did a fantastic job, which has saved Tamale Refinery. So nobody can go to any extreme and say it's a useless office, it's never so, or that Kisei has not done anything. He has done a lot. We have had Yoko sitting there for all these years. People have used them as their private, whatever it is, to run around. Why are we not going after Yoko? All right, and I think that comparing all of these things, we can't say that he's done nothing or whatever it is. But yes, the issues are clear. High expectations, okay, or maybe he has the highest expectation in terms of anti-corruption, okay, and it's creating those problems. We are throwing the baby out with the bathwater, attacking that office the way we are doing, because, like I said, this week alone, many cases involving him have been suspended.
Well, at least.
And now,
what about 2?
You had
the case of the Republic versus Ken Ofori-Atta and the 7 others, and then the Mustafa Hamid case.
Former AG Dame went to court, okay, and also many people have filed. In fact, anything involving the OSP now is in jeopardy because of that wide-ranging
High Court
ruling that was given, in that High Court, which is also another matter. Okay, so my point is, look, we are cutting our nose to spite our face. Whichever way it is, look, we should quickly amend the Constitution. The Prempeh Committee has finished its job. I don't know why we are still wasting time. Let's get on with that business, establish that office properly, and then really focus on doing this anti-corruption thing properly. We are just going and coming, and all of us are the losers for that.
Well, Phyllis Kwachuf also did indicate this week that there's the implementation committee is going to be established soon.
Implementation to do what?
For the recommendations of the
I think it's a mistake.
Prempeh.
You don't do an implementation committee
in fact,
to do
actually a committee that's going to be established.
No, I'm saying, I think it's a mistake. You see, look, the president cannot amend our constitution. That's clear. The constitution is amended in parliament or by a referendum. Okay, it's okay for the president to set up a commission to go and look at all the things that we need to amend. President Mills did it. Why did it die? It died because it became too much the work of the president. And we have suggested that, look, Mr. President, don't let it look like you are amending our constitution, setting up committees and whatever it is. Ship the thing off to parliament. Okay, step off a bit. So this whole thing, one, is delaying it, and to look at what we are suffering because of it. We need to get down. We are clear in our minds, okay, that we need to amend our constitution. Why are we pussyfooting about it and setting up all committees, commissions? We've had 2. Why? Get on with it, do the job, and then all these things will find their level. Instead of going back and forth, and then High Court is saying this, another High Court is saying we are not bound by your ruling. Meanwhile, the Supreme Court is seized with the same matter. Today, we have to file amicus. There was a hearing to the effect in the Supreme Court where it was ruled that they don't need the presence of the OSP, okay, to determine the matter. And so it didn't have to be joined. Now there are other things that have come up and it's going to be joined. It's a mess. Meanwhile, we know what we have to do. Let's get on with it, spend the energy, do it, and move on.
But why do you describe this as an attack on the OSP
Is there any other word? The OSP's office has been under attack by my own client, Martin Kwebu. Okay? And for good reason. All right? I mean, off here, we've had all kinds of discussions, okay? And people are definitely upset. The irony between me and Martin, okay, is that I am upset about the way the Ken Oforiatta case was handled, because I said from the beginning that it was handled poorly, and because of that, that case will not go well. Okay, he was also upset about the same case, but on the other hand, that he thinks different things should have been done. My point is, why? On both ends, we are fighting, and clearly there's an attack. People are saying Kisi is making decisions that they think are not right, etc. Okay, I mean, maybe he has to defend himself. Maybe he cannot defend himself because of his office. He has said all kinds of things, but clearly it's not going, well. Martin Amidu didn't have that kind of problem. Of course, he didn't do as much as Kisi did. But the point is, clearly there's something about the person of the special prosecutor, the person who is there, which is generating a lot of attack against the office. And that collateral damage being done is not good. All right, you've gone all the way to having, a high court judge having the confidence to make a very wide-ranging ruling when the issue of interpretation was in the Supreme Court and was being heard. And everybody will tell you that, look, he should have deferred to that. Other courts are saying we are not bound by what that high court judge has done. What kind of confusion is this?
Well, on the matter of jurisdiction, the trial judge at the high court, which you reference, he sought to answer this, and this is just a portion of the ruling which has been made public, by the way. It says whether or not, and this is the issue he raised, there is a matter for constitutional interpretation, and this is his position. For a better appreciation of the matter, the relevant portions of the respondent's affidavit in opposition are set out below. 14. The respondent further states that the relief sought by the fourth accused person, that is, raised a matter of interpretation of Article 884. And the respondent in this instance is the OSP of the Constitution, vis-a-vis the Section 4.2 of Act 959, which is the act that establishes the office, which falls within the exclusive jurisdiction of the Supreme Court to determine questions of constitutional interpretation. And he goes on to say the authorities have established that where the language of the legal text is clear, it only calls for application and not interpretation. And he references case law.
Yes.
Republic versus Mayakekan. So it has been stated in the case of Bedema versus Awuno Williams, unless the words of a statute are imprecise and ambiguous, the court does not apply the rules and presumptions of construction.
Yes.
Unless the primary or popular literal meanings of the words are disputed, the interpretation of the word is unnecessary.
I agree. Look, every constitutional lawyer knows this well. I have used it many times, and it is correct and true. The problem here is this. See, you have a high court judge. You see, like I said, law is not mathematics. 1 + 1 is 2 everywhere. But when it comes to this, other people interpret things differently. Now, judges have wide discretion. He has exercised the discretion in one way, to say he doesn't see an issue of interpretation. Sure. Many other judges will tell you that, look, once that has been raised, even if I don't see it, for a number of reasons. One, because the Supreme Court is already seized with that matter, I would defer to them. Okay. 2, judges have to be broader in their thinking when it comes to the consequence of their actions in exercising their discretion. Now, by exercising the discretion to the effect that there was no issue of interpretation there, and therefore he will proceed to rule on the matter, and ruling on the matter, and then going forth to give wide-ranging consequential orders to the effect that other cases done by the OSP were basically null and void. Look at the effect it has had on the whole country. Put in jeopardy the whole office, put in jeopardy every case that he's done, even previous cases. You understand? So when a judge exercises discretion, you ask yourself, what is the effect of what they have done? That's how you judge the quality of the discretion that he has exercised. And I think this discretion, the exercise of this judge's discretion, and by the way, we are free to criticize judges. And my criticism of this is that, of him, is that if his discretion was exercised properly, it would have created calm and not confusion. What we have now is a lot of confusion. Okay, so I say he didn't exercise it properly, and others would have deferred to the Supreme Court. All right, so the point we are making is that, look, we are heading towards something. Okay, and everybody must be working towards that same thing. This ruling and the orders that followed work against the fight against corruption, and we are seeing it. Now everything is suspended. Okay, what about people who may be in jail? Okay, what happens to the case of Kenneth Farada? Is it going or coming? Is it on or off? Okay, what's going on? And how do we resolve this? Some courts are saying they are going ahead. Others are saying, well, we have to be bound by this. The Supreme Court said that we are going to hear this matter. It's confusing. Okay, then we all have to come here. Look, it's been how many weeks now we keep beating this issue. Okay, so I mean the point is this. Look, let us resolve finally and durably the issue of the office of the special prosecutor, and that will be done in the constitution. We have had 2 commissions already. We've come across 1 year. Prempeh has issued his report. Okay, the energy must be towards having that thing done, sorted out, cleaned up, and put away.
Okay.
Indeed, when we're doing the office, what we did was say the corruption was so bad, we needed to make a special case of that office, take it out and establish it whilst we're working on the constitutional review. Okay, we've done it. It's worked for 8 years or so. Okay, we've come to this point. For some reason, there's a huge attack against the office. Maybe we can single it out and fix that problem. But if fixing it means a referendum, for instance, we can't do that one alone and leave the rest. So my point is, all the energy should be put towards fixing it durably in the constitutional review. Why are we not going forward with the constitutional review? Why is the president now setting up another committee? To do what? That's what we should do. Fix the constitution, solve this problem.
Great. Now, you this week when you saw the demands of the CSOs, and including the demand for the president to speak on this matter, because when you, together with Mama Yariga, sought to table a private member's bill questioning the essence of the office of the special prosecutor, the president spoke and appealed to you, in fact, to rescind that path that you were taking. So their call is for the president to speak on this.
The office repealed. It was interfering with the office repealed. It was interfering, was dictating to us, blah, blah, blah. That's every parliament, a deliberative chamber. Now, this matter is before the Supreme Court. It's sub judice.
Sub judice.
Sub judice.
That call for the president
to speak. Hallowed principle of law. Every parliament in the constitution is cautioning that where a matter is before a court of law, court of competent jurisdiction, don't tinker with it. Don't tackle it. Don't even touch it with a 10-foot pole. Every parliament, the constitution says, don't touch it with a 10-foot pole. Don't go near it. Parliament is even cautioning not to go near a matter that is a subject of litigation in our courts. CSOs are calling on the head of state to do what? To do a buzia?
Just to speak on
it.
Just as
to do a buzia? No court, no court. Because you see, the call that the call that they've made is in the effect is actually in the converse. Because where a court makes a determination, we are all bound. So you cannot say that I am in agreement with the court. But obviously you have to be in agreement with the court. If you disagree, you appeal. If there are appellate processes, or you ask for a review, if the process is for a review of the court's decision, that's all you do. You say you agree with the court, but you as the court pleases, but you agree, and therefore, if the appellate process is depending on the stage of the litigation, which is being done as we speak. So the call rather on the president is to say that whatever the court will say, you will be in disagreement. That's what they're asking the president to say, because it's a matter of course for the president to say that we are in agreement with what the court has said, or we are bound by the court's decision. Or don't say anything. That's a matter of course. So to ask the president to speak is to say that, or to suggest that whether the court decides in the favor of A or B, we will do what we have to do. So tomorrow they'll say that the court says the matter we should take left, and the president say no, I am in disagreement with the court, so we are taking right. That's what they're asking the president to do, to say that I'll disrespect the orders of the court. You see, when Kisi goes to court and he loses, That is normal. You must fight for an appeal or go for a review of the court's decision. You don't rant in the media. He lost his other past case. It was all over that the judiciary is conspiring. He said all manner of things. Because he didn't prosecute that matter well. Procedural approach. We've all been defense attorneys. You have to see me in this country 15 years ago when we were doing the Oyome cases. It's about procedure. Procedural. Look, the job of every criminal attorney is about procedure.
And procedures are the heart of...
Look, the principle of law is that where a law provides a procedure for a right to be exercised, it's only that procedure that will be followed. It's only that procedure. If you depart from that procedure, every criminal law attorney,
it invalidates the case.
And that's our joy. That's the joy of a criminal law practitioner. That's your joy. That's the beauty of. So anybody, every lawyer, who is the criminal law practitioner, is always on the lookout for procedure. Because as for the substantive law, that's why they brought your man. He's been charged. But you are looking for flaws. That is why you can actually question a charge sheet and say that the charge sheet is bad for duplicity. Just procedure. Now, what is the issue? Bentel has said something, but I want to lay the records, bear everybody out. I brought the Hansard of Wednesday, 1st November 2017. The matters that he alluded to actually were raised on the floor. But we disagree with Chairman Sabonsu and the Speaker. The House actually took a decision. The law as it is was actually what the House agreed upon. So this is the trajectory. Now, if you read from when Chairman Sabonsu raised the matter,
which matter exactly?
Which is the issue of authorization, direct authorization, or all that. Look, the Honorable Haruna Idrisu made the point that we cannot come to Parliament and say that Parliament can enact a law and grant direct authorization to prosecute, to investigate and prosecute a matter to another entity without recourse to Article 88. That was the original terms of the bill that came to Parliament. All the stakeholder engagements, the import was that we want to establish a special office that will be independent of the Attorney General and all that. The report came, we debated the principle.
Can prosecute without AG's authorization.
Yes, all those ideas. These arguments were actually canvassed during the stakeholder engagements. The committee prepared, and I was such a formidable member of the committee. We went to the floor, debate. When we got to consideration, it was Haruna Idrisu who said, no. Please read Article 88 properly. This Parliament, if we proceed to enact this law, it will be shut down the next day after assent.
It's been 8 years.
Oh, no. He says, no, so you listen. So we cannot. And then when the debates progressed, we all realized that no, the interment of the bill cannot be carried through. We are running into a brick wall in Article 88. Even the bill, the memorandum is referenced it. So after all the talks, these two persons spoke. And this is the Hansard of 1st November 2017. So Dr. Aini had this to say. Mr. Speaker, it relates to the original rendition of the head note in clause 4. And because it is independent and stands in the name of the Honorable Minority Leader, we need to take it so that it will form part of clause 4 going forward. Then Che came in. Then all the talks continued. And Che had this to say. Mr. Speaker, I get it. Let's go on. Then the chairman said, So, with your permission, if I may move the item numbered XVII, or I should take the two together, Mr. Speaker, you may do so. The amendment was carried. Dr. Ayini came back and said, Mr. Speaker, for instance, the Attorney General could do so by a constitutional instrument. Now we are talking about the nature and the form of the authorization. By constitutional instrument or by legislative instrument, where it will spell out clearly what the jurisdiction of the office of the special prosecutor is. This is because what we are doing here is to say that Parliament is by statute making the Attorney General authorize the special prosecutor, but she is the one who is delegating the authority, and there has to be a mode of delegation.
Pause there. For the sake of the public.
Yes.
Okay. Important things you said. It says Dr. Ayini came in and said that, for instance, she could do so by constitutional instruments or by legislative instruments, which will spell out clearly what the jurisdiction of the office of the special prosecutor is. And note that this is the Attorney General.
Yes.
Okay.
The current Attorney General.
No, the current Attorney General. But at the time, it was Madam Gloria Kufu.
Yes.
And it was said by the current Attorney General that she could do that by an ally.
Yes.
Note. Subsequently, she issued an ally.
No, the ally is, hold on. I brought the ally.
No, hold on. No, I'm making a fundamental point. That it was said by Dr. Ayini that an ally will suffice.
So you let's
no. We are talking to the public.
Yes, let's be. The allies are here.
You admit the point that Dr. Ayini said an ally will be a useful thing to use to authorize.
So we'll get there.
Listen to you. I was going to tackle it. So, Mr. Speaker, that is the point I'm making. Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, Speaker Okui. He said, what kind of authorization are you anticipating again? The person has been established by an act of Parliament, and you are going to ask the Attorney General to start authorizing, bringing in matters that lawyers describe as co-warranto. It will become a big issue by what warrant, by what authority?
Pause. I beg you. Again, me and you, we are working on this, the public. The speaker then, Speaker Okwe, is saying, there is a situation where an act of Parliament is in pursuance of the last part of 88 being used to take the authority, not without the permission of the AG, but to encapsulate it in that act.